Meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson posting this photo from Mar-a-Lago yesterday, where he visited with Donald Trump right after the second assassination attempt at his golf course nearby. Speaker Johnson joins us now to react. Mr. Speaker, did you think maybe your meeting was going to be canceled when you heard about the shooting? And what demeanor how would you describe the president when you got to him?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me. My wife, Kelly, and I were on the way to Mar-a-Lago when the shooting occurred. And so we were delayed a little bit because they shut down all the traffic. But then we arrived there about the time that President Trump did. We spent about 3 hours with him. He was in very good spirits, as you might expect. That's who he is. He's so resilient, and we were really grateful to see him. You know, I said this, and we'll all be talking about this for quite some time. There's no leader in the history of America that has been so attacked and has remained so strong and so resilient. He's one of a kind. He is not going to stop fighting for the American people, and it was really encouraging for us to sit and visit with him right after that happened.
Mr. Speaker, I know your faith is very important to you, and after the first assassination attempt, what was it, 65 days ago, Donald Trump said it was providential, that he happened to turn his head at the right moment and look at that board, which normally he plays at the end of his rallies. But he said he felt like God was with him during that. Was he mentioning anything like that? I mean, this is the second time someone has tried to take his life. That has to be pretty jarring.
It is. It's a remarkable thing, and Kelly and I spoke with him at great length about that because it is something that no one can deny. God has spared his life twice now, and I told him that it reminded me of the bulletproof George Washington, our first president, who evaded being shot when he was an Army colonel, the famous incident in the French and Indian War, where they all took shots at him and bullet holes went through his jacket and it didn't take him down. That event took place, ironically, less than 50 miles from where President Trump was shot on the stage at Butler, Pennsylvania. These things aren't accidents. It's not luck. I believe it's providence, and we talked about that. It's a remarkable thing. It would move any man's heart. I think it's moved the president's, and it's just something he's processing right now.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, it is interesting, you know, because he is not just the nominee for the Republican Party, but also a former president. The reality is former presidents don't have the same kind of security bubble that current presidents do. You know, Jimmy Carter, you got to figure he does not have as big a bubble as the current president, nor does Barack Obama. They've got protection. But nonetheless, he is the nominee. He is a former president. He is in need of more security.
He is. That's very well said. And, you know, you saw him compliment online yesterday the Secret Service that are protecting him now. I got a briefing from the acting director of the Secret Service, Ron Rowe, within 90 minutes of the event. I was actually sitting with President Trump when he called. We listened to that in detail. And what I understand happened is that those agents that were with him yesterday saw that barrel of that gun between the bushes on a golf course. I mean, you know, that's a difficult thing to spot. Right. Thankfully, they did. But unlike in Butler, they did not pause. They immediately pulled their weapons and fired. I think that's why this guy, the suspect, the shooter, threw the gun in the bushes and ran. Had they not been there, had they not acted so quickly and so decisively, we might be having a different conversation today. President Trump needs the most coverage of anyone. He's the most attacked. He's the most threatened, even probably more than when he was in the Oval Office. So we are demanding in the House that he have every asset available, and we will make more available if necessary. I don't think it's a funding issue. I think it's a manpower allocation.
Couple of things. Number one, Lindsey Graham brought up yesterday, it's time to spin off the Secret Service where it was. Back to Treasury, got more attention, was able to focus. It's swallowed up by Homeland Security. Number two, to get to the higher levels of Secret Service, need a college education. We got Navy SEALs coming back at 31 years old, who are ready to go, and they're out of the military. And yet, if they don't have that college degree, they're not able to guard the president. Can we make some adjustments into the people that can get into those ranks?
Brian, desperate times call for desperate measures. We will look at all those things. As you know, I put together a task force in the immediate wake of the Butler, Pennsylvania, the shocking failures, lapses in security there. There are hearings coming up this month for that's task force, and of course the Senate has its own Homeland Security committee looking into it as well. There's going to be reports and recommendations coming forward, and Congress will act swiftly. We need accountability. We must demand that this job is being done. I think there are some really patriotic great people working in the Secret Service, but it's the leadership. We have no faith. I have no faith in Secretary Mayorkas, Department of Homeland Security.
He's
an abject failure. We impeached him in the House, as you know, but Chuck Schumer made it die in the Senate. So we've got to get accountability. We're working on it every day, and President Trump deserves every measure of that.
Mr. Speaker, what's the latest for Pennsylvania State Police? I know that today's the deadline for them to produce these records and updates about that assassination attempt 65 days ago in Butler. What's the latest? Are they working with you? Are they cooperating? And what do you expect?
They are. We expect them to turn over the evidence. I'll be shocked if they don't, and we'll take appropriate action. But it takes some time to do a deliberate investigation. There will be hearings, I think, not this week but next, in our task force, and a report due by the end of that same week. And so more and more of these answers will be coming out. The final report due shortly thereafter. So good work is being done. There's some extraordinary members of Congress working on it around the clock, and we have to do that. It's the top priority, a top priority for the American people.
Indeed. And in fact, we were just speaking to one of the task force members. They're going to ask for a briefing on what happened yesterday in West Palm Beach as soon as, 9 o'clock when they can do that. One of the things, Mr. Speaker, going forward, though, is that as this investigation has been handed over to the FBI, it sounds like the locals are going to press charges just to hold the guy. But Ron DeSantis, the governor of the great state of Florida, came out yesterday and he said, people need to know the truth. So we're going to do our own investigation because he wants to know, how did this guy get within 500 yards of the former president and the current nominee? Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. We all need to investigate it, local, state, feds, whatever's necessary. Look, I think what happened is on a golf course, it's a lot of area to cover. Yeah. From what I understand and what President Trump understands, they were ahead of him 2 holes. There were drones being used over the course. That was not the case in Butler, Pennsylvania. I mean, obviously, some improvements are being made. And thankfully, they were at least 2 holes ahead, and they spotted that barrel through the bushes, which is a remarkable thing. Again, I think it's providential. But that's what happened. We'll be looking into all the details of it. Look, we got the Secret Service's attention. I think they're devoting every asset, but we're going to make absolutely sure that's true.
Lastly, separate note. We know the Democrats have outraged you, especially since Vice President Harris got the nomination. And they say, well, Trump could overcome that, but down ballot's going to pay the price. You got 30 seats up for contention. We watched Congressman Gonzalez over the weekend or last weekend come out and say, I think we're going to lose the House. Where is the race?
Don't buy it. We're doing very well. I'm very bullish about November. I've been traveling the country nonstop so far. I've done campaign events in over 204 cities in 40 states now. I can hardly keep track. But everywhere we go, there's an energy on the ground. We are going to win the House and the Senate, and Donald Trump is going back to the White House. But we need everybody to stay involved. We got to make it too big to rig, as President Trump says. He and I talked about that at length yesterday as well. We're very bullish. I'm convinced we're going to grow the House majority. The Senate, it will come back to our control. And President Trump's getting another term, and we'll fix this country. Is
that the point of the Wednesday rally, perhaps, to help some of those contentious seats in New York? You're going to be the president's going to be on Long Island in Uniondale.
Yeah, look, our majority runs through California and New York and a few other key sort of swing districts around the country. So I've spent a lot of time in those states. But look, I'm telling you, we're doing very well there. We're going to defy expectations. This is going to be a good November for us.
Yeah. What about right now? Because you guys have got a problem with a budget. And a lot of members on your own caucus don't like your idea.
Yeah, look, we have 2 primary responsibilities, immediate responsibilities upon us. The September 30th is the end of the fiscal year. We have a responsibility to fund the government, and we have a responsibility to ensure that the upcoming election is safe, fair, and secure. And so I attached the SAVE Act to the CR, and we're working through having family conversations about the best route to get all that done. I'm optimistic we can do both things, and we have a duty to do it.
When you say family conversations, what does that mean? A bunch of Republicans are in a room yelling at each other?
Oh, no. I call it intense fellowship, but sometimes, but it's great. Listen, I have the smallest majority in U.S. history. For 5 months, I had a 1-vote margin. We have a 4-vote margin now. It's an embarrassment of riches. We're gonna grow that in November. But between now and then, you have to build consensus. It takes patience. It takes time. But we're up for it.
We haven't seen that in a while. Consensus. We know everyone's very comfortable speaking out against each other in your party. Speaker Johnson keeps his cool always. Thanks so much.
Is that what a family meeting's like for you? That's yelling.
I've been to those, absolutely.